Good evening everybody and welcome to round 16 of season 16 of Wheel2Wheel Racing, and we are here for the Russian Grand Prix. We are in Sochi. Sochi has hosted the 2014 Winter Olympics and a few of the 2018 World Cup games. We are here for 53 laps of this 3.6 mile long circuit, and we've got 18 turns, 6 to the left and 12 to the right, 2 DRS zones. We are in the middle of the Pirelli range with the C2, C3 and the C4s. The mediums are 1.1 seconds slower than the softs, and the hards are 1.7 seconds slower than the softs. Last year's qualifying session, Sim Bannister take pole with a 1:45.3, but that was on a set of inters, and it looks like we're going to have a dry qualifying session here today, so let's see what these guys can pull out of the bag for us. 9 races here today, so let's see what this qualifying session will bring us. So Blood and Sand looking to be first out of the pits. Let's get all of our information up on the screen. Blood and Sand racing for Haas. He's had quite a few good races since rejoining Wheel2Wheel this season. So we got dry quali, rain at plus 45 minutes for in the race, so we will see how these drivers react to that. Are they going to be running slightly wet setups or a bit of a hybrid setup, knowing that they're going to be running wet later in the race? So thanks very much Xerxes for that information. Xerxes obviously one of our drivers in the session at the minute, driving for Red Bull. But as we come round the final sector with Blood and Sands for Haas, we will go on board with him for his first flying lap, the first flying lap of this Russian Grand Prix here for AL2. Very tight final corner, opens up, DRS activation down into turn 1. Turn 1, this light little kink to the right of the road, one of the longest distances down to turn 2. We're obviously not counting turn 1 as a turn. Heavy braking, tight apexes there, you have to watch the track limits. Then we've got the long sweeping left hand of turn 3. Coming round here in the dry, you should be flat out, and certainly on these medium tyres. Then heavy braking, turn 4 right. Watch that left hand side where the wall comes in. Coming now into sector 2, we've got turn 5, and we have invalidated on the inside of that corner there with Blood and Sands. So we might just drop off. Who else have we got going around? We've got a letdown estate on an outlap. Everybody else is on an outlap, so we'll hang back for now. Only 2 drivers looking on to set a time on the mediums for now. Plenty of time left in the session for them to hop onto a set of softs, but the softs will go quite a few laps into this race, so depending when the rain falls, depends on whether they want to go with the softs first of all or a mediums and try and make it out to that wet weather. In fact, we've got James on a flying lap, so we'll carry on from there. So now, as we did before, coming into sector 2, turn 5, watch that wall on the left. No, this is turn 5. We've got a purple sector 1, but his first one out, setting the times. So have to watch these track limits on the inside and the outside of these corners. Difficult off camber, a lot of these corners in Sochi. We're coming round to the second DRS activation zone. This is a difficult overtaking spot, but it's where you can gain some places. but it's more likely to just get you on the back of the cars in front, ready for the final sector. Heavy braking, this tight little chicane section here, which is turn 13-14. Again, off camber here, incredibly, in the 90-degree turns for turn 15 and 16. Again, very difficult to try and get the traction there at the right places. Coming down into the final sector, ERS already fully deployed. Turn 17, turn 18, final corner round the bend, and he sets a provisional pole time of a 1:32.5. And that was on a set of soft tyres, as we say. Blood and Sands come in, already swapped to a set of soft tyres. Xerxes on the mediums. We'll see how these medium tyre compound compare. As I said, they are 1.1 seconds slower than the softs, so will that be transparent in the lap times between him and James, who's set the pole time for the meanwhile? A little bit of traffic further back. A few more drivers looking at the medium tyres. And Xerxes goes fastest on a medium set of compound with a 1:32.3. So has James got more time to find? I should think he has. Got the Ferrari cars coming round. Old Dad's looking like he's pulling in. Prev crosses the line and goes third with a 1:33.3. A letdown estate was invalidated, so he is going again by the looks on it. Maxi coming round to start his first flying lap. James coming in. Letdown estate taking a very nice line through that first chicane in sector 1. And I do love that sweeping left hand of turn 3. Ooh, and a little bit of correction there coming round turn 4 into sector 2 now with a 33.6 for sector 1, so that looks to be a reasonable time. A letdown estate does have a little bit of traffic ahead, so hopefully that won't be off-putting for him. So we've got CHM on an out lap. And Prev ahead on an in-lap, I would assume. But no, they stay left out of the way. So a letdown estate can carry on with his first flying lap. DRS wide open. Heavy braking down into this chicane here. Difficult to get the track limits and the camber right. Fuel light is flashing. So I think that initial invalidated first lap has meant that he's a bit light on fuel now, but he is carrying it round. Final corner, what's he going to get as he crosses the line? He gets a 1:33.4, not very far off Prev in front. So a few cars coming round the corner now. Maxi, 1:33.6 on a set of mediums, that's a respectable time. Take 1.1 off that and he is around the time of James, so very good time. So let's go through. Who's that? Blood and Sand. Now on a set of soft tyres, coming round the final corner. Blood and Sand can put in a respectable 1:33.1, putting him provisionally third. So let's have a look. A letdown estate moving out of the way of everybody else on their flying laps. Which is what we like to see. We've got Sega coming round. Sega finished third last season, so podium step for him before on the medium compound. Is he going to be challenging for a podium today? Let's see if he's challenging for one of the top 3 positions in this qualifying session. And he sets a reasonable time, 1:34.8 on the mediums, so take 1.1 off that. He is in contention with some of the soft runners. CHM set a medium compound time there, 1:35.3. Old Dad's on an outlap. Anybody else? We've got Blood and Sand coming around. He's coming in, and a Let Down Estate in front of him is just coming in as well. Oh, Old Dad's taking a very adventurous line in that final chicane there. Kicking the back end right out, as I say, off camber for a lot of these corners, so traction is sometimes a bit of an issue. But he comes around the final corner now, starting his first valid flying lap on a soft set of tyres, so let's see what times he can put in. James also out there trying to improve. Purple sector 1 for Old Dad's on this soft compound. It's very pushing his luck with the track limits because he was very much on the white line there, and James does improve with a 1:31.9, so he does go in front of Xerxes for a provisional pole, but that 1.1 second deficit between the tyres, Xerxes has got the option to go onto the softs, and if he's true on the delta, then he should improve and get back on pole. But Old Dad's with a purple sector 2 also, so let's see if that's translating to real life, because sometimes this game just lies to you and it just tells you the purple sector on the top 2 cars in front of you, and the back end is out again on that chicane there. I think Old Dad's playing a different game. He's doing some drifting. But let's see as we come round the final corner, and Old Dad's very nearly invalidating his lap by going extremely wide there, but respectable time of a 1:32.8 on the softs, and that puts him in 3rd place for now when he hits the wall. What was that? He must not have been paying attention to what he was doing. A bit bonkers, that. Lucky to still have 4 wheels on the car. Right, who else have we got on track? CHM, I think, was just moving out of the way for somebody, must have been, because his delta time, his time is quite low. He's coming in. I don't think he's set a time on them, so I'm not sure what really happened there. And who's coming round? A letdown of state. He's just starting a flying lap. Who else we got on track? We've got the Ferrari, Prev. Not like his Ferrari counterpart, he's taking that chicane driving forwards rather than sideways. Nice tidy line in the last couple corners. Crossing the line, he does improve, 1:32.9, pushes Blood and Sand down, puts himself into 4th place. Old Dad's coming round, coming in. Sega on an outlap. Sega invalidates his outlap, but that doesn't really matter for now. But he will be looking to improve. Sat bottom of the grid at the moment. Everybody on a set of soft tyres except for Xerxes. Maxi crossing the line to start a flying lap also. 3 minutes left of the session, so a little bit of just about enough time for anybody in the pits wanting to come out and have another go. CHM coming out. He was on a medium set of compound, looking to set a time on the softs. And also James coming back out by the looks on it. So who's that coming round now? A letdown estate. Crosses the line, improves by 6.5 tenths, putting him into 4th place. Now pushing Prev down with a 1:32.8. Incredible time. Identical time to Old Dad's as well, but because Old Dad's set it first, he holds the 3rd place card ahead of a letdown of state. Blood and Sand starting his flying lap now. Prev could be an in lap. Yep, he's coming in. So then we can go now looking to Sega, who's very close to the wall, and I'm sure there was a bit of contact there into this chicane in sector 3. Again, these corners off camber, very difficult to get the traction, but he does well. Car pointing in the right direction, coming round the final sector. Reasonable time looking like right now on the soft compound. As we come round the final corner, ERS fully depleted. And he does improve, and it will 1:32.4. A phenomenal time, puts him into provisional 3rd. Maxi pushes him down though, as he gets a 1:32.2. Incredible time, beating Xerxes' medium compound time there. So Maxi provisional 2nd place, but James coming round, looking to improve his time even further to defend. Oh no, he's on an outlap, so let's go. CHM's on an outlap, and behind him we have a letdown estate probably coming in. Yes. And behind there, Blood and Sand. Car number 15 for Haas. Oh, and it's wide. Went round there. Wing damage. Only 1.5 minutes left, so no time to get in and fix that. So he's made his bed now, and I don't think he will be improving. He won't be starting higher than 8th in this Grand Prix. So, Old Dad's on an out lap. He'll have enough time to get across the line and go for one more flying lap, as long as he avoids those walls. Sega, possibly on an in lap. He did do a flying lap just. Has he got enough in the tank? He's got a full tank of ERS, so not likely that he is going again. Maxi behind him, invalidated, so he isn't setting a time. James has invalidated, so if he has enough time to get back and across the line, he can go again. CHM, however, he is on a valid lap. Deep into this final sector, so not looking good for him there. James making it across the line, so he has one more shot at improving his time. Maxi, 2nd place on a set of softs. And that's the checkered flag out. So Maxi and Xerxes. Xerxes starting on the medium compound. Not able to improve anymore. Old Dad's, let's go to him. He's already invalidated his lap, so he won't be able to improve, so he won't start higher than 5th. Who else is out that could improve? Sega has invalidated his lap. James has invalidated his lap. CHM, he could improve if he had enough in the tank. Quite low on ARS, so he might be going for it. We'll have to wait and see when he crosses the next sector line, but pretty much everybody locked in position, bar CHM possibly. CHM crosses the line, does improve. Puts Blood and Sand down into last place. CHM crossing the line with a 1:33.0. So quite close on some of the times. Xerxes the only one going for the medium compound, but with a 1.1 second deficit between the tyres, that puts him in good stead for this Grand Prix. But James taking the top step with a 1:31.988 set on a set of soft tyres. He has done 2 laps on them tyres, and they are the tyres he will be starting this Grand Prix on. So the finishing table for that qualifying session for the Russian Grand Prix, James is in first place on pole with a 1:31.988 set on a set of soft tyres. Maxi in second, Xerxes in third on a set of mediums, Sega in fourth, Old Dad's in fifth, A Letdown Estate in sixth, Prev in seventh, CHM in eighth, and Blood and Sand in ninth. Unfortunate for Blood and Sand, he probably had more in the tank to give, but he did lose control of the car in the final sector, causing wing damage on his final chance to improve his lap. So now at Wheel to Wheel we have a 5-minute break between qualifying and the race. As we do 100% distance, it can take up to 2 hours time for racing, so everybody gets in a little comfort break, toilet, fag, whatever they want to do, drink. But this is normally an occasion when I will go through the driver stand-ins. So we have Xerxes at the top, who's been on phenomenal form recently. He tops the table with 353 points, 3 fastest laps and 3 poles. Didn't get another pole today, but certainly in contention for the fastest lap, as he looked like he got a bit of pace with that time on the medium compound. Cal is in second place, but Cal was promoted at the mid-season change to AL1, so he is now in the AL1 table. Sega the Cos in third place, provisionally second, obviously counting the fact that Cal is now in AL1. So Sega, decent qualifying session from him today as well. Old Dad's Rules is in fourth place. And then James, A Letdown Estate, Prev, CHM, Maxi. It sort of slowly drops off there. But on the Constructors title, we've got Red Bull, unsurprisingly, at the top, who Xerxes and A Letdown Estate drive for with a collection of 598 points. McLaren, quite closely behind though, only 18 points deficit between the two teams. Then drops off by 100 points with Ferrari. But at Wheel to Wheel we also have a combined Constructors Championship where we take the AL1 teams and the AL2 teams and put all of their construction points into a pot and run a Wheel to Wheel Constructors table as well, which we have Ferrari leading at the moment by 50 points with a 1,073 points, which is phenomenal, which obviously is something that we haven't done before. But yes, what a score of points there. But then, as I said, 50 points behind, we've got Red Bull, so they are chasing for the combined title. And then we drop off quite a bit, 240 points down into McLaren. So, and then we've got quite a tight battle from McLaren, Racing Point and Williams, all in about the 750 to 780 points. So Xerxes, only one starting on the medium compound. When is this rain going to fall at 45 plus minutes? Is Xerxes going to be able to carry them mediums all the way to the wet weather? When the wet weather falls, is it going to turn to a wet track straight away, or we're going to have some tricky transfer conditions where the drivers are going to be having to run a wet track with slick tyres, we'll wait and see. We're just about to get underway with our formation lap. Looking at the weather report, that plus 45 minutes, that's set for heavy rain. So as it begins to fall, it may get wet very quickly. But we can see there, for now, if it were to stay dry, predicted pit stops. You can do a one stop around here, two stop, probably almost as quick. But then you've got to do a little bit more overtaking with the two-stop strategy. But if you're good with tyre management, one stop would be an easy option. But as we say, weather is going to intervene with this race. So let's wait and see how that's going to affect things. Quick rundown as we're doing our formation lap. We've got James on pole, Maxi in second, Xerxes in third, Sega in fourth, Alet Estate in fifth, Old Dad's in fifth, Alet Estate in sixth, Prev in seventh, CHM in eighth, and Blood and Sands in ninth. So again, wondering if any or how many of these drivers have got a bit of a hybrid setup in. Anybody considered any of the wet weather that's going to come? Have they changed the ride height or anything to contend with that, or a little bit more downforce on your wings? So into the final sector now. Slowly coming round, everybody's going to get into their grid spots, waiting for the 5 lights. And we have 5 lights for the Russian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Good start from James. He seems to be pulling away Maxi up on the inside. Bad start from Xerxes, dropping down into 5th already on that medium set of compound. Maxi staying up on the inside of James, but James just managing to stay ahead. The Williams of Sega having a look up on the inside. A bit of carbon fibre, and we've seen one of the Ferraris going way up on the inside. Old Dad's making 3 places straight up into 2nd place. Phenomenal start from Old Dad's. Sega staying in 4th, getting ahead of Xerxes. Prev also gaining a position on that race start, sandwiched between the Red Bull cars. A letdown estate, already looking to see if there's a way past the Ferrari of Prev in front to regain that place from him. James already a second ahead. Oh, and a letdown estate has made it past Prev. So we cross the line from lap 1. James keeping the race lead. Old Dad's jumping up into 2nd. Maxi in 3rd place. Sega in 4th. Xerxes in 5th, having lost a couple places at the start of the race. His teammate at letdown estate behind him, having a look, or moving out of the dirty air. But Blood and Sand holding up the field, looking to see if there is a way past the Mercedes of CHM. Everybody slowly spreading out a little bit now. James still off in the lead. Here we go, my Delta times have come back to normal. So just inside of DRS, Old Dad's. Xerxes not having a great start on their medium compound tyres, and it looks like he is multi-21 letting a letdown estate by whilst he is on the faster compound. Maybe taking a few extra laps to get some heat into those tyres to get them in the prime working zones. Definitely down on speed. Xerxes, Prev behind him, looking to see if there's a way past. And is there trouble for Xerxes? Is he coming into pit? It looks like he is, and I think he's missing one of his end plates. So not the start of the race Xerxes was looking for. Maybe that was his end plate at the start of the race. Now, Old Dad's gained a lot of positions, and we did see a Ferrari up on the inside, so I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it. But let's go to Blood and Sand, chasing down the Mercedes of CHM. Not able to get anything on this occasion, but now DRS has been enabled. It will open the window for a few more overtakes. But these are the closest pair on track. Ooh, and Blood and Sand struggling for traction. A lot of these corners in Sochi are off camber, and it's too easy to just put your throttle down too early and lose all of the traction from the back end and be travelling in a direction you don't want to. But did well on the brake pedal there. Got himself right up into the shadow of the gearbox of the Mercedes in front. Everybody else now spread out. They're over a second from each other, so Blood and Sand will be the only driver in this zone to be getting the DRS activation. DRS open, we can see he's got 5.5 tenths, and he's not really gaining. We know CHM does ride with quite phenomenal straight line speed, so he doesn't have much downforce, but DRS, Blood and Sand weren't able to get much off him at all. Ooh, and James picking up the first penalty of the session for exceeding track limits. I think we just caught the tail end of it as we went to him. So 3-second penalty, which puts him at threat from Maxi as it stands, but we've still got a lot of this Grand Prix to go and some wet weather to go with it. Still looking relatively clear in the sky, so we won't be seeing any rain in the next few laps. But at 45 minutes, that will probably be around lap 30, I should say. But Sega getting himself now into the DRS activation zone. Just teetering out, and Blood and Sand is round. Again, same spot. And that's a busted wing for sure, so he's making his way in. Xerxes trying to recover his race. But let's go Sega to Cos. Really making use of that DRS, because he's got himself right up on the back of Maxi as Xerxes, as I say, trying to recover, sets the fastest lap of the race. Ooh, and Sega, we just caught it on the stream there. All four tyres was across the line. Obviously, pushing to try and get this position from Maxi has earned him a penalty. Neither car has much DRS, but they both have much ERS, but they both got the button on. Sega closing with DRS, but not able to take the position on this occasion. You have to watch them inside sausage curbs as Blood and Sand now picks up a 3-second penalty as well. Yeah, with the corners already off camber, you touch them inside sausage curbs and the traction is just non-existent. Sega, DRS open. Slowly closing the gap, but nowhere near close enough on lap 6 to be able to take him there before turn 2. But Old Dad's now got himself into the DRS time of James. So Old Dads will have DRS on James coming down sector 2. And he is closing. But smart to hang back, wasn't close enough to have a look down into turn 13. Certainly a less adventurous line coming around this final sector through that chicane. Again, DRS this time. Got his overtake button on. James doesn't have as much overtake as Old Dad's. Overtake, DRS, can he see a way round? And turn 2, he's having a look on the outside. But James keeps the position. Old Dad's carrying a lot of speed around turn 3, flat out, and he's trying to have a look on the inside, but he does push a little bit too hard, and he was going to be over the white line to make that move. Sega, similar position, close to the back of Maxi, but as I say, all that pushing from Old Dad's has now awarded him a penalty. So we've all spread out. It's also got incredibly dark very quickly over these last 2 laps. So nowhere near the 45-minute mark, but one thing I like about this game is the predictability of the weather has become a little less accurate, meaning that much like real life, you know it's going to rain, but you don't know when. So we could be seeing some rain fall very soon. Old Dad's, DRS, ERS. Not close enough into turn 2, but gets a mega exit there, and he's on the inside, and he's already past James, now taking the race lead. Blood and sand, another penalty. James looking to reclaim that race lead. Got 2 battles going on at the moment, battle for first and battle for third. But James this time will have the DRS. He's not quite got enough closing speed to have a look before turn 13. Sega, similar position, not able to make a move. So very close, only 4 attempts, and I believe that is the wet weather already falling. Lap 9, as soon as they cross the line, that the clouds just opened. But again, closing speed, they must be on very similar setups because they don't seem to have the best closing speed. Or maybe James is running a little extra downforce. Maybe Old Dad's was closing a little bit quicker. Either that, as these conditions now, James not able to push. And James picking up another penalty, which is not what he would be wanting, as he drops out of the DRS zone of Old Dad's. And we now have a yellow flag in the shape of Blood and Sand. He's well out of the way, missing his front wing, and we have a safety car. Safety car, so marshals can go out and pick up that front wing. So the rain has started to fall, but it's probably too early to change onto some wet weather tyres. Is anybody going to gamble it? Xerxes reclaimed the gap down to only 8 seconds to CHM from his recovery from his lap 1 pit. Was it lap 1 pit? No, lap 3. So this is going to change the race slightly, and I can see Sega heading towards the pits, but he changes his mind, and Blood and Sand gets a speeding in the pits penalty and has now retired. So he has had enough already and has left this session. I can see James has took the gamble. Car 69 for McLaren has jumped onto the intermediate tyres. He's the only one, and he's certainly going to struggle behind the safety car. Ooh. And he's come out in 6th place. Now, he's going to struggle. CHM has also gone for the intermediate tyres. Xerxes was not able to catch up to the pack and take James before he put the intermediate tyres on. And this is going to make or break. You're going to see basically either James is right or everybody else is right, or CHM. Let's see, only time will tell. We know it's heavy rain, so it's likely to get wet quick. Also, safety car won't be in this lap, so it does give everybody an opportunity to dive in if they choose to. Now we've got Old Dads leading the pack. Maxi in 2nd, Sega in 3rd, I let down Estate in 4th, Prev in 5th. James in 6th on intermediate tyres, Xerxes in 7th, CHM in 8th. So Old Dads is coming in by the looks of it, Maxi is coming in, Sega is coming in, I let down Estate is coming in. Old Dads disqualified for ignoring yellow flags. Not so sure what happened there. Did he pass the safety car before he was supposed to? Xerxes also in. So maybe James was on the right track with CHM, which was a wet track on intermediate tyres. But they still look like they're struggling. DRS I haven't seen be disabled yet. So we've lost Old Dads to a disqualification. Not quite sure what happened there, but now we have James in 1st, Maxi in 2nd, Sega in 3rd. I let down Estate in 4th, Prev in 5th, CHM 6th, and Xerxes just coming out of the pit in 7th. So all the recovery work from Xerxes. He's going to be back of the pack on some intermediate tyres, but at least it's a hard reset. Not the position he would have hoped to have been in, but a position he can work with. So let's see how this safety car and wet weather changes the race. Again, I don't think I've seen DRS be disabled. Let's see, is safety car going to be in this lap? Xerxes is quite far back. There's a chance it could go round again. A lot of the cars did pit, which normally triggers it to go round one more time. I think if it was to be in, it should have said by now, but I have been surprised by this game before. No, we are going once more under the safety car. But all this time behind the safety car, tyres will be cooling. James awfully close to the back of that safety car there. But Xerxes now able to see the rest of the pack. Two cars with the fuel light on, but this wet weather typically is an opportunity to save some fuel. So lap 12 of 53 under safety car. Oh, Xerxes, 5-second penalty, severe collision and wing damage. And that'll be, this lap will be when the safety car's coming in, so Xerxes is going to have to do a recovery drive all over again. Yeah, missing a left end plate, and I think another fin as well. Safety car in this lap. So James to restart the Grand Prix once the safety car is in. It's on James to decide when to go. All the cars bunched up behind him. Xerxes aiming for the pits. And Old Dad's looking like he's away, but he's tight. Final few corners makes it look a very slow getaway, but he is away. Prev looking very strong behind Letana State, but everyone going very wide on that turn one there. Ooh, Letana State struggling with traction. But close battle up in front. Maxi 6/10 behind. Sega 6/10 behind. This is where we'll find out if anybody was set up prepared for the wet weather, or whether they just wanted to go flat out dry. But that leaves us with 3 drivers with penalties. So that might change the finishing standings. And we've got James with 6, Sega with 3, and CHM with 5. Although it was Xerxes that went into the back of CHM, and CHM's got the 5-second penalty. But that's the logic of this game, was have to see what happens in the appeals room, if there is any appeal thrown up for it. But Prev's dropped back off a letdown estate for now. almost flat out around turn 3. A lot of cars struggling. It's a flat out corner in the dry, but in the wet it's a different story. But Maxi really keeping the pressure on James. But James, having taken pole and led nearly every lap here in Sochi, made an early but definitely the right call for the intermediate tyres. Put him back into first place to the race lead. And he's holding off Maxi and Sega for now. Sega slowly dropping, but still there, still in this battle. So, mental note, Xerxes 26 seconds behind at the moment, so we'll see in a few laps if he's made any ground up. But Sega, again, is just losing them couple tenths each sector by looks on it, but Maxi keeping the pressure on James. Maxi, closest he's been for a couple of laps. But this rain is getting very heavy now, so it might almost be time, as it looks like they're struggling for some wet weather tyres. Or full wets, should I say. Is anybody going to make the move for some full wet tyres? Not just yet. I don't think the pit window is open, but hey ho. Xerxes 16 seconds to CHM, but CHM has dropped 9 seconds behind Prev, so probably not a fair analogy, as it's difficult to see how much CHM's dropped rather than Xerxes has gained. But ooh, James still the wrong side of the track limits on some of these corners, but Maxi still applying the pressure, but Sega is bringing the fight back. He's almost into the 1 second delta from behind. But you can really see surface water on the road now, which is making conditions very tricky for these drivers. Maxi a bit later on the brakes than James there, which has dropped him back. Ooh, wrong side of the white line. but decent traction out of the final corner. Gaining on James, probably not as much as he'd hoped to be gaining, but he is closing that gap again. And it's, ooh, he's nearly flat out round there. Ooh, and Sega picking up another 3-second penalty. So it really puts Maxi in a strong position here, because his threat from in front and behind are carrying 6 seconds of penalties. And Maxi really bringing the fight to James. I think if anything, if James wasn't there, Maxi would be able to go a little bit quicker, but that's the aim of this game. He needs to take that position. These conditions are getting worse. And that looks like James is going for the full wets. So the weather did say that it will lighten up after the heavy rain, but depending on how long we have this heavy rain for. Sega is also in. Depending how long we have this heavy rain to then go back to inters will say as to whether it's a good move. But that now promotes Maxi into the race lead. A letdown estate into second. Prev into third. James and Sega on the full wets, and they're going to be out well in front of CHM. And Xerxes is also in for the full wets. Car number 19 for the Red Bull. Now, let's show up who's on the wets and who's on the inters. So currently Xerxes 25 seconds behind CHM. James is a little over 8 seconds behind Prev. So let's see which is the better tyre to be on for now. So we're on lap 18, 8 seconds behind Prev. We are in the car of James. Maxi in the pits. So Maxi following suit onto the intermediate onto the full wet tyres. A letdown estate, looking like he's carrying on. But James down 6 seconds. No, possibly not, because Prev is in the pits, so I don't know how much that affected the time, but it did look like the full wets were catching. So a letdown estate. Now our race leader, having stayed out onto the intermediate tyres, but these conditions do look incredibly tricky. It is definitely full wet conditions, but as I say, how long is the track going to be full wet for? That is the question. And we're not full throttle around turn 3, we're far from it. But Maxi didn't really lose much time there, because he got back out the pits behind James and in front of Sega, which is where he was when they pitted. So 10 seconds to a letdown estate from James. We'll see how that gap changes. CHM pitted, did he pit again? I think he did, because he was in front of Xerxes before, so. But James already down into 8.5 seconds. So I think a letdown estate is on the wrong tyres, but again, a full pit stop, or 2 full pit stops really. One to put your full wets on and one to take them off again. But it doesn't look like this weather is shifting anytime soon, which then puts James back as our race leader. Our pole sitter now, once again, our race leader. But Maxi, as it sits now, is our race winner because he's within the 6-second penalties of James in front. Letdown estate coming out, looking like he will be in front of Prev, although it's looking like he's got his pit limiter stuck on, so that might affect where he comes out of the pits. But he does get out in front of Prev. Lost a good few seconds there with his pit limiter. But again, only about 70% throttle, but Maxi now with a 3-second penalty. So top 3 drivers of the top 3 offenders for penalties. So 6, 3 and 6 between them. Slightly spread out a little bit more now, these top 3 drivers. So Xerxes, 7.5 seconds down from Prev. Second recovery drive of the session. Really not having much luck today, but CHM, something has seriously gone wrong with his Grand Prix for him to be last and 30 seconds down. But closest cars on track at the moment is a letdown estate and Prev. Prev with a lot of overtake and a letdown estate with a decent amount. Both drivers seeing to that immediately by deploying their overtake. And Xerxes certainly on the comeback. 2.5 I think he's gained in half a lap there on Prev. And look at the rain bouncing off the track. It's horrendous conditions as James picks up another penalty, now on 9 seconds of penalties. Car number 98, Prev for Ferrari. Still chasing the Red Bull of a letdown estate, but will soon have the Red Bull of Xerxes threatening him from behind. So these full wet tyres are over 15 seconds slower than some of these drivers' personal bests set on the slick tyres. Really struggling to get the car turned in there. Almost down to 60% throttle round turn 3. Maxi, car number 91 for Renault, still holding that second place position and provisional race winner with the penalties applied, as Maxi's got 3, James has got 9 and Sega has got 6. But Xerxes now within a second of Prev. He's really closed that gap. We might actually see an overtake. But not quite on this lap. But Prev struggling as usual on that final chicane. Xerxes not looking like he wants to get too close to have dirty air in these wet conditions for turn 3. But just look at the spray following a car. Sometimes all you can see is the flashing ERS charge light. Absolutely horrendous conditions. And this time it's making him lose distance from the leader. Dropping now. I think when we started following this, Xerxes was 31 seconds off James, now is 32.5. So this time behind Prev is really hurting him, and we know that he can go a couple seconds faster than Prev because it closed that gap pretty quickly. But as you can see how difficult it is to find the apex, let alone find a car and find a way past. But much closer on this occasion. Just needs to try and stay in there, stay close to the back of that car and have the confidence that you can make it around him. Oh, struggling for traction there. And I think that slip on the throttle might cost him not being able to overtake this time. Again, it's really hurting. He's lost another couple seconds to the race leader. Just needs to find a way around or put the pressure on Prev, force him into a mistake where he can then gain the position. Oh, and Prev looked to have a worse exit there than Xerxes, but Xerxes was in a high gear to try and guarantee the traction. Just not able to do it. No ABS, and Xerxes seeing an opportunity as Prev went deep into the corner, going around the outside, but Prev with the inside line manages to stay in front. So delicate around these corners, off camber, as I've been saying most of the race. In the wet conditions, are just not very good. Better traction this time at the final corner. ERS, but Prev also on the ERS. It just would be too easy coming out of these corners to just plant the foot, but that would lose your traction, and Prev earning himself a penalty, going too far wide, cross the line, probably looking back at the threat of Xerxes from behind. Ooh, and is that an opportunity? It was, but Prev closed the door on him, but that's pushed him wide, and Xerxes having a look inside, now the outside, and he does make his way around the Ferrari. Car number 98, but he loses control as he does. Oh, and that would be another wing change for the Red Bull of Xerxes, which is not what he would have wanted. It clearly got past Prev, looking to make back some of the time lost being stuck behind him, and throttled it too hard. So back with our race leader James, still has a Renault in his wing mirror, as he has done for a lot of the last few laps. Sega hanging in there, 3 seconds down from Maxi. Halfway through the race now. Not much going on here at the moment, but we definitely have 2 or 3 different races on our hands. We got James, Maxi and Sega all fighting for podium positions. And a big drop down to a letdown estate, who's got Prev for company. And Xerxes was involved in that, but unfortunately for a third wing change, he's now dropped back 41 seconds. And then we have CHM, who I think has been suffering this race a little bit. I think there must be some instance that I've not caught on here, because he was in front of Xerxes and pitted when I think he'd already pitted for some wet tyres, so I think something might have happened which forced another pit. But certainly trying to find the pace that everyone else has here at the moment. But it may also come down to penalties. At the moment, James has 9 seconds, Maxi 3, Sega 6, and Prev 3. So looking at positions changed, we had James on pole, still our race leader. Maxi started second, still in second place. Sega has gained a place, he started 4th. Now in 3rd. A letdown estate, gaining 2 places, up into 4th. Prev also gaining 2, 5 seconds behind a letdown estate. Xerxes, unfortunately, losing 3 places, and he's had 3 wings, so that is unfortunate. And CHM having gained the place, but with our 2 retirements from the session in the shape of Blood and Sand retiring in the pits and Old Dad's disqualification under safety car. James might have the Mercedes of CHM in sight soon, as he will be coming up to lap him. Sega picking up a 3-second penalty, so he's now on 9 as well. So it won't affect any positions at the moment, but we still have 23 laps left. And if James or Sega were to take on 2 more penalties after your 4th penalty, you are then demoted positions in the final standing as per how many additional penalties you get over 4. We can see the blue flags now. CHM leading to move out of the way of the race leader James. Although we have ghosting turned on, but we still encourage drivers to move out of the way. Maxi going on the wrong side of the track limit lines there too many times, and that will cause you another penalty. So blue flags again for the Mercedes. really needs to pull off the racing line and move out of the way. This is not really what we want people to be doing. Only 20 more laps to go. These drivers haven't been on the full wet tyres for 14 laps, and it doesn't look like it's easing off anytime soon. Maxi with a 3-second time penalty, putting him on 6th. That now dropping him away from the potential race win as it stands, because James has 9 seconds, Maxi has 6, meaning Maxi is net 1 second down. Ooh, but Sega picking up another penalty, putting him on 12, so Sega is on his last free penalty before a forced position drop. So if Sega gets another penalty after his time penalty is applied, he will be losing a finishing place if he gets another penalty. Yeah. 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 Xerxes slowly closing the gap to Prev, so we might actually see a little bit of action again in this Grand Prix soon, maybe, hopefully. James leading our race from pole. Maxi still hanging in there, back as the provisional race winner with the net win after penalties are applied. Sega dropped back quite a bit, 12 seconds of penalties, so as I say, he is one penalty away from a compulsory position drop, which we enforce at wheel to wheel after your fourth exceeding track limit penalty. But at the moment he is safe from the time penalty that will be applied, back to a letdown estate. A letdown estate currently in fourth. Prev slowly dropping off behind him, 6 seconds, and he's got a 3-second penalty. But Xerxes, after being about 40 seconds behind earlier, after he'd taken Prev maybe about 15 to 20 laps ago, it was on, well, it would have been 12 laps ago. So he's on 12 lap old full wet tyres. Having done 5 stops, he's looking to claim a position as he's 2 seconds off from the Ferrari of Prev. If you're watching, feel free to comment on the stream. Might give me something to actually talk about. But we're looking like we're going to be getting a little bit of action as a letdown estate picks up his first penalty. So now we only have Xerxes and CHM, who are penalty free at the moment. Xerxes with no ABS on, really battling with the brake pedal there as he was locking up, coming into that chicane, not wanting to go into the back of Prev and have another wing change. But now the tricky part, trying to get the traction down. I know Xerxes runs no TC, but he's very close to the back of Prev on this occasion. got his overtake on. It looks like he is gaining, perhaps not as much as he wants. Prev also has his overtake on, so he can't get him on this occasion on the run down to turn 2. Ooh, and Prev wrong side of that track limit line again. That's where he got his first and only penalty last time. Xerxes just waiting for an opportunity, whether that be in the form of a mistake from Prev or better performance from Xerxes, and it did look like he had a great exit out of there. Prev on the overtake. Xerxes only able to just nip up the inside of his rear tyre, but Xerxes locking up, doing well not to go into the back of Prev there. Both cars on the overtake button. No DRS at this time. Conditions do not allow DRS to be activated. This is where Xerxes normally has good traction out, and he does a better job this time. This time he can get alongside Prev. Prev with his overtake on. Cars side by side, and Prev's having a look on the inside, locking up, and he does get a nose in front, and there's a little bit of contact there between the cars, but Xerxes gets the position. Now, with the roles reversed, can Prev regain the position coming down the start-finish straight? Prev on the overtake, Xerxes on the overtake to defend, and the gap closing very slowly for Prev. Now we've seen Xerxes has the pace as he caught Prev, so he should have the pace now to run away as Maxi picks up another penalty, which I think matches him with James. So now, as it stands, Maxi would have to pass James on track to get the race win, which Maxi's was outside of the race win anyway, because he's over 3 seconds behind his 4.3 currently, so he wouldn't have the race win as it stood anyway. Xerxes now nearly 2.5 seconds in front of Prev, so he's been unleashed from there, now catching his Red Bull teammate. So it's looking like a minimum of 4th for Xerxes, because all Xerxes will have to do is even catch a letdown estate, and the 3-second time difference, and Xerxes was going to come in, but a letdown estate came in. Prev, he did manage to regain some time there on Xerxes. But everyone on 26, 25 lap old wets, full wets. Maxi pitted, Sega pitted, a letdown estate had pitted also. It is looking like a different track again. A lot of the freestanding water has disappeared, so these intermediate tyres on a few of these cars will be coping better. In fact, it looks like a letdown estate will be well in front of Xerxes, who's now come into the pits. So Xerxes still ahead of Prev. Maxi with another penalty. Maxi now on 12 seconds. So that's all cars now on intermediate tyres. So James managing to pit and be out in front of Maxi. Maxi just under 3 seconds behind, but with an additional 3 seconds of penalties. So for Maxi to get the race win, he would have to overtake and be 3 seconds clear of James, and that's looking unlikely, as James has held the race lead for the majority of the race, right from getting pole in the qualifying session. CHM not really moving for the blue flags. So as we enter lap 47. Coming round to the final stages of this Grand Prix. Looking like we have a strong, definite winner in the shape of James, having took pole, having led the most laps here and still currently holding the race lead. Maxi putting on a strong show, but a late award for penalties has put him right back now. Chances of a race win looking pretty slim. Sega got third here last season, looking to take third here this season as long as he can keep within the track limits and not get another penalty. And a letdown estate currently in fourth, but as penalties stand, he would be dropping behind his teammate Xerxes, who's just behind. But Xerxes slowly closing that gap, so he could take the position on track by the end of the race. Prev, 6 seconds of penalties, and in comparison to Xerxes, just a little bit less on the pace than Xerxes is, which has put him where he is right now. And CHM, bit of a lonely race for him. 1.45 minutes down. And in fact Prev is nearly up to lap him, so unfortunately that would put CHM lapped by everybody on the field. But with only one safety car, it's not really let everybody bunch back up. Oh, and Sega getting that last penalty that he didn't want. That's now put him on 15 seconds, which means he's got 5 penalties, which is a position drop in the final standings, which as it stands would promote... Actually, that would promote Xerxes up onto the podium as it stands, because Xerxes would jump a letdown estate in penalties, and then the final standings is where the position drop would be applied. Mikey saying, well, this could be an interesting finish. It's going to be a bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be about 10 laps ago. because now that might put Xerxes, although he's had an extremely unlucky race with having pit. Is it 6 times now? 6 times in comparison to everyone else's 3-stop. It might put him on the podium in the end. So as I say, he'll jump a letdown estate, and then with Sega's position, podium. It's been a long race with not a lot going on. But Maxi still holding in on the fight. He's really held the pace compared to James. I mean, James having got pole and the form James has been on recently, we always knew he would be up there somewhere, but Maxi has really held his own today and kept James company throughout his race lead in this Grand Prix. So as James crosses the line on lap 51, 3 laps to go. Looking pretty strong for the race win. But Maxi still hanging in there. If it weren't for the penalty difference, no, Maxi's just crossed the line and got another penalty, and that means Xerxes could be sat on the 2nd step come the final standings, because he would jump a letdown estate, Sega will be demoted, then Maxi would be demoted, put in Xerxes 2nd, which I don't think any of us would have been thinking 20 laps ago when he was pitting for a wing and being at the very back again. And Mikey saying photo finish if James picks up another pen here, and then then Maxi got his penalty, and Mikey said scrap that last comment then. Certainly brought a tiny bit of excitement to this extremely long, actionless Grand Prix that we've had here today. And Xerxes catching the back of his teammate of a letdown estate, as it stands, would be taking the 2nd step, which is unfortunate for Sega as well, because Sega, having got 3rd here last season, would have been happy, I think, with a 3rd again, looking at the standard of racing around him in AL2, but missing out because of picking up too many penalties. And Xerxes and CHM, gotta say, having picked up no penalties with 2 laps to go. Fantastic show from these drivers. Oh, and the rain stopped, and Sega has come in for soft tyres. Now it'll be difficult to get round another 2 laps on the wrong tyre compound, but and the Red Bull guys are staying out. Sega will be launching it round now, and I imagine Sega will be taking that extra point as DRS has now been enabled for the first time since about lap 12. Now this is going to spice things up a little bit. As James coming round now is about to start the final lap. He stays out, which might be a sensible idea, because although slicks would be the tyres to go for, he's only got one lap left to go. And Sega needs to get a move on, because a letdown estate is nearly within his penalty window, his time penalty, but no. Letdown estate's got 8 seconds himself, though he may be contesting 5 seconds of it. No, I think that was a speeding in the pit, so he wouldn't be doing that. So I think everybody else has stayed out, haven't they? It's only Sega who has gone for the soft tyres. And the fastest lap at the moment is a 1:36.3 held by Xerxes, which surely would have been a long time ago. But we're coming now round the final few corners. And James, having taken pole, led most of the laps, got the right decisions on the pit, takes the race win here at Sochi, and a well-deserved win there. Maxi crossing the line, second place, well fought, really kept the fight here with James. Unfortunately, with 15 seconds of penalties, means that he will be demoted a place in the final standings. Sega also on the soft tyres has a chance at picking up an extra constructors point if he can cross the line and beat the 1:36 time, but he's been very choppy with his corners, and I don't think he did actually beat the time, or it was an invalid time, but he crosses the line third. But as I say, with 5 penalties he will be demoted a position, and at the minute with 8 seconds of penalties, it's going to be Xerxes who's going to benefit from those position drops. But a letdown estate will cross the line fourth, which promotes Xerxes up to fourth, and after the position drops, as I say, will put Xerxes on the podium in second. And Prev getting a purple sector 2, but because he came, this is his out lap, I don't think he's anywhere near being able to get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But left across the line, we've got Prev and CHM to finish off this Grand Prix. Almost a bit of a photo finish there, albeit a lap difference. And driver of the day, a letdown estate, and it was a good show from most people, but personally driver of the day would probably be Maxi, although he did get 5 penalties, meaning he's dropped a position. I think he really showed a really good race here today, kept James company, because let's face it, this was James's race all Grand Prix long, to be fair, taking pole. Xerxes, I think, was the only one who could have contended with that. Started on the medium, seemed to suffer, had a very early pit stop, and then had a wing change later on after a safety car and a pit stop for another wing again later in the race. But there was our Russian Grand Prix, and as I say, we had James on the top step after penalty drops. It will be Xerxes in second, Maxi in third, Sega in fourth, Letdown Estate in fifth, Prev in sixth, CHM in seventh, and then we had Old Dad's Rules, who was disqualified, and Blood and Sand retired in the pits. And that was our Russian Grand Prix round 16 of season 16 wheel to wheel. Thank you very much for joining us, watching the stream. That's it for us tonight. Thank you, and stay safe.